RJB.
Every time they see us come, watch them demons shake. Hey man, here you come with all that stuff, man. Come on, let's go. Life and death is in your tongue, so watch what you say. Hey, real talk, what you say around him too, man? Real talk. Cause name's whole weight. If you don't know about Father Rahai, cause name's whole weight. And you don't know about his son Yeshai, cause name's whole weight. Receive the gift of Rawakadah, cause name's whole weight. Forever screaming, Kwam Yasharallah, cause name's whole weight.
You ain't gotta tell me names whole way. I'm calling a higher, calling them out, kicking them tables over, just like Yeshaya. Digital download of the hard copy, man, I'm 2x2s. Some of these Hebrews be acting feminine, we call them 2 wonk fools. I'm laughing at them, same time wouldn't put it past them. I ain't trying to be the boys' favorite rapper. They only rap cause they Twitter popular. That's the difference between me and them. I'm the son of Jacob, they the son of sin. The rock open, so I'ma go on in. We don't go ham, but we go shim. I'll gut that bird, put his fur on. Great warrior like Gideon. I tell you the truth, do what you do. I can't judge you like Gideon. I get these bars from my Abba. Ruach is my ghost rider, word Shami Allah. I'm ready for that war, you know I'm a rider. Left hand on my strap, right hand on my Bible. Yeah, every day I'm getting tested, but I don't fall, guess that's progression. Got a whole list of do's and don'ts. Just have a seat, yeah, class in session. Praise the Father, yeah, that's a blessing. You can relate to somebody in the same stages. Yeah, I love them when the beat bang, but you know they hate it when we're due to make it. Yeah.
Every time they see us come, watch them demons shake. Hey man, here you come with all that stuff, man. Come on, let's go. Life and death is in your tongue, so watch what you say. Hey, real talk, what you say around him too, man? Real talk. Cause name's whole weight. If you don't know about Father Rahai, cause name's whole weight. And you don't know about his son Yeshai, cause name's whole weight. Receive the gift of Rawakadah, cause name's whole weight. Forever screaming, Kwam Yasharallah, cause name's whole weight.
Jake, mind what you telling me? Cause I sit through muddy water and I ain't buying no dreams. So you best watch what you selling me. Lou and Misery out the STL, I'm out the Triple D, but like we come from the same place. Cause if you stated, then you have to show me it like I come straight out that show me state. Our doctors best coordinate, our powers best correlate, and we live for your science. So if we inspire your son, who him gon' resuscitate? Real Judah, you ain't holy, but I still see through you. We all messing, you Satan's recycling bin. The way you let him reuse ya. Try to walk my walk, cause the journey to the kingdom, man, is like a foot race. Try to use the fruits of the spirit, but then they be acting just like some fruitcakes. I turn my cheek for his name's sake, but brother, I only have 2 of them. So you best leave me alone for I smash principalities and vessels they be residing in. I take it for Christ, the highs and the lows. Till after we're watching, inspired my flows. I pray that I higher by having Messiah. They are my power, you already know. The way Jake's haters like we the star, but they got it all wrong. Show about the Father, Son, and Spirit, man. If I was Fruit Brew, shall this be my theme song?
Every time they see us come, watch them demons shake. Hey man, here you come with all that stuff, man. Come on, let's go. Life and death is in your tongue, so watch what you say. Hey, real talk, what you say around him too, man? Real talk. Cause name's whole weight. If you don't know about Father Rahai, cause name's whole weight. And you don't know about his son Yeshai, cause name's whole weight. Receive the gift of Rawakadah, cause name's whole weight. Forever screaming, hey, love, hey, love, cause name's whole weight. The Messiah should be over 2,000 years old, but the letter J didn't come until 1524. Now go and search for your proof. See what all these names mean. Then read Hosea 2, verse 16 and 17. Or Hosea 4 and 6. We perish for lack of knowledge. The teachings of his majesty, they don't teach in college. Not that devil philosophy got you always debating. And that tetragrammaton got you still calling on Satan. Is it Yahweh, Jehovah, Yahuwah, Yeshua? Depart from me, I never knew you. If that is one of the names that you call him, hope you do not let Lucifer fool you. He's known to deceive us and known to confuse. Call him Jesus and end up with Zeus. Pray to them demons, wonder why you lose. Might not like it, but that's just the truth. Every time they see us come, watch them demons shake. Hey man, here you come with all that stuff, man. Come on, let's go. Life and death is in your tongue, so watch what you say. Hey, real talk, what you say around him too, man? Real talk. Cause name's whole weight. If you don't know about Father Rahai, cause name's whole weight. And you don't know about his son Yeshai, cause name's whole weight. Receive the gift of Rawakadah, cause name's whole weight. Forever screaming, Kwam Yasharallah, cause name's whole weight.
Father who? Our Father who? Our Father who? Our Father who? Hello, hello, hello. I said our Father who? 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 Hello.
Cause name's whole weight.
Real Talk 101 here on a Sunday afternoon from 6 to 8 p.m. here in Vox
Wave Studio. I'd like to welcome you back. You know who I am. I'm Brad Trammell, one of the hosts here at Vox Power on Real Talk. This is my co-pilot next to me, Orlando Boyd. And we got a guest in the house today, one of Orlando's brothers, Eric Boyd. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's
doing
what's
pretty
up.
good.
That's
Thanks
what's
for
up.
having me.
We're going to get right into prayer, man, because we got a huge testimony that we need to share. And a lot of you may be already familiar with it because I know it was on the news. But any prayer requests real quick, fellas?
Yeah, I got a couple prayer requests. You know, the Most High was doing some stuff yesterday, you know, with the K2 event.
Uh-huh.
We went to, met a couple people, young lady, Marquita by name. She said she's trying to get out the street, trying to get off that synthetic drug. And, you know, I just want to make sure she gets the type of help that I know the Most High has planned for her to get through that organization. Alliance of Concerned Men, as I believe it's called.
Yeah, that's right.
And also a couple people from the event yesterday evening at Bladensburg, his young brother Jamal and his mother Pammy, specifically by name. The devil trying to attack families and just, you know, keep the family in general in our prayers, and people going through stuff. And watch, we're going to get to it later in the show and watch some interesting videos, you know what I'm saying, on YouTube about some technology that's being used against people, and they don't even know it. But we'll get into that. Also, the Gray family just had a loss. One of my customers, one of my former customers, passed away a couple weeks ago. His funeral's tomorrow. Just keep the Gray family in prayer as they go through this time of bereavement. And that's it for me. Right there.
Yeah, I have a couple.
All right. Make sure I remember these.
No. Just you can just pray for two of my coworkers.
Two of your coworkers?
One just lost their grandfather, and the other one just told me, actually just now, being the general manager, I should have been shooting straight over there, but he was willing to work with me. His mother's having some kidney complications, some kidney complications, and she's headed to the hospital. So that's where I'll be headed to my job right after this.
You know, focus on that.
Yeah, those two.
Okay. Bet. I got one to a friend of a friend is going through separation issues with his wife. His name is Ty, but the problem is he won't look his demon straight in the eye and face him. He'd rather party, drink, and smoke and lay around instead of keep a job. And so because of that, his wife left him. And it's pretty serious, but he don't see the seriousness in it. He's just like, oh, well, you know, I'll go over there and visit her from time to time. You know what I'm saying? I just go over her house. But the weight and the magnitude of it, he got two daughters. He ain't got no motivation and, you know, to keep a job for either one of them, and it's really bewildering. But, you know, so just pray for his name is Ty. That's what we're going to pray for. Bow your head with us. Lord, Yah Almighty, we thank you for another opportunity. Thank you for choosing us to do something like this, Lord. Thank you for working in us to give us the will to do it. Lord, right now I ask that you cleanse us all with your blood, with your son, Yeshua's blood right now. Wash us clean of our iniquities, Lord. We like to lift up the Alliance of Concerned Men, the efforts that they're putting together, you know how they are with the finances, Lord. We ask that you bless, ask that you be with Marquita, I believe, who she's trying to get off the street, Lord. Ask you to be with her situation. Then to be with the whole community over there at Bladensburg, Lord, especially those who are reaching out and trying to do something for the youth, like what Candace is doing, Lord. We thank you for the opportunity to minister over there. We lift up the Gray family and Jamal and his situation, Lord, and all the other families, Lord, because, you know, we all got stuff that we dealing with that, you know, it's not verbalized all the time, but you know our hearts, Lord. I ask that you be with E's two co-workers, one with the kidney complications and his mother, and all those situations, Lord, especially the health situations over there, Lord. I just pray that you heal, that you bring them back about, Lord, and give us the strength to be witnesses and ministers for you in times when people can't look to your face or don't even know about you, Lord. Continue to use us. I ask that you be with with my brother Ty, who's going through whatever he's going through, Lord. It's deeper. It's something he's not going to verbalize or talk to nobody about, but he's keeping it close to the chest, but it's affecting people around him, Lord. I just lift up that brother right now. Please continue to be with us and all the things that we got, you know, close to our chest and deep in our hearts. And please be with us as we speak in this time that we have allotted, Lord, let the words not be from us, but be from you, so that the hearers and listeners might hear something from you and yearn to have a closer relationship with you and to seek truth for themselves. In Yeshua's name I pray. Amen. All right, so I think it was what was the date of that day? It had to be the 19th. The 19th of last month. No, it's not October yet. 19th of September. There was a fire at the Capper Senior Citizens Home up on 5th Street. It's like right a block up my street. And I'm gonna just walk through the events of the day just to show you what happened. And I'm gonna let Eric bring in his testimony. But the testimony I got it's gonna intertwine. But I'm going to just call it up to the point where it's supposed to be. So the day before the 19th, which was the 18th effectively, I was supposed to bring my car over to E's house to get the junk worked on. And at the last minute, it didn't go down. It did not happen. I had a phone call I had to make, but in addition to that, when I got over to the place, my spirit wasn't right. It wasn't sitting right. After I had a brief conversation with the Lord, I knew I had to get on the phone and call Darian, because he was the one who I had to get on the phone with to talk to him about a situation that he was dealing with in Ecuador, because he was in Ecuador at the time. So I dipped out. Didn't get my car worked on by E at the time. Then the very next day, the reason why E was supposed to work on the car, I was supposed to lead a drive to go out of town on Thursday. This is Tuesday I'm talking about. So Wednesday come along, and I called him up earlier in the day, and he says he was with Michi. And he told me he was going to be able to, slide through my crib around noon or something like that. So I took off work half day, came home so I could meet him, give him the keys so he'd be able to get in my car. He was going to do a brake job, simple. But as it so happened, he didn't get back to me until around 2:30, close to 3 o'clock, and told me he was on the way around then. So I was like, okay. When he got through to the crib, he was calling me as he was pulling up. And I came out of my house. And as I came out of my house, I looked towards this Capper Senior Citizens Home, and I saw gray and black smoke just swirling up on the rooftop, just coming. No fire yet. It was just smoke. But I ain't hear no sirens. Everybody was walking around the street like everything was regular. So when he pulled up, as soon as he pulled up, he got out the car, started asking me about, the brake pads and stuff. But then the first thing he said, man, that joint's smoking. And as we were just conversating, hadn't even done nothing yet. He hadn't pulled the jack out, hadn't even looked at the car or anything. As we were getting ready to start working on my car, the smoke got bigger and bigger, to the point where it was catching everybody's attention. And then at that time, when he was changing his clothes so he could work on my car, that's when we started hearing the sirens come. And when we heard the sirens come, I had to keep getting out the street because fire trucks kept coming around the corner and speeding up the street. And so when this happened, I took my keys and I went back to my front door because I knew I left that joint unlocked. And I left E at the car, and E was looking at the joint. He's like, yeah, that joint is going. And E got out the car and went up the street. Now in my mind, I'm thinking E's going to get a better look at what's going on. I ain't thinking he's going to the building, in the building, or anything like that. I ran back to the house to lock the door, but before I did that, I called upstairs to Raphael. I was like, this building on fire. He came downstairs. After he came downstairs, I locked the door, and then Raphael went up the street. I was like, he just went up to the corner. He goes to the corner and says, I don't see him up there. I go up that joint to the corner where the paramedics and all the people at, and I don't see E up there either, so I called him. When I called E, I could hear in the background that he's giving directions to people. He's talking to somebody on the phone. I could hear on the phone. It's like, I got somebody up on the 4th floor. They're in a wheelchair. They can't get down, this, that, and the third. But by this time, the ambulance and the paramedics, they roping the street off with the caution tape. They ain't letting nobody pass. They're telling people to get back. And I'm realizing he's in the building. He said he was right at the door, but then he was like, nah, I got to go up in there. So he's having me on the phone, and I'm listening to all this stuff transpire. And at that point in time, doubt started filling my mind. I was like, a couple thoughts passed through my mind right then and there, and I'm going to hand it off to E to for him to fill in this part. But the first thought that came to my mind was, dang, why ain't I go up in there with him? I ain't know he was going. Started making excuses to myself. But then me and the devil started having a vicious back and forth. He was like, oh, you wasn't ready. You was high. That's why you ain't do it. And to tell the truth, we transparent on this joint. I had something in my system maybe like an hour before E came. I figured by that time, I'll be, be ready enough if he come through this junk, to help him out. If he need any help, I'll be okay. But I wasn't sharp. I wasn't alert. And the first thing came to my mind, you supposed to be a watchman. And you wasn't at your post. Not only when you at your post, but you was slow to react. So now you got somebody up in there who could need your help, but you ain't even in a position to do that. And then O gon' be like, yeah, why wasn't you with E when he went up in there? All this started coming to my mind. And I was like, dang, what can I do? Because I couldn't get around the tape. Cops is all this. And what you going to... As I started thinking about what I could do, I started getting pressed harder in my mental. I was like, you good for nothing. This is exactly what's going to happen. How it's supposed to be the time of trouble and you slacking. You might as well just go sit down somewhere. You ain't good. All this stuff started happening in my mind. Then Raphael was talking to me. He was like, where did E go? I tried to call him back. He picked up the phone. I heard him knocking on the doors. Say, hey, get out. I heard all this stuff just transpiring. And while this is all going on, the whole street is being flooded with more and more people. Everybody pulling out their phones. More emergency vehicles are flooding the street. By that time, it's chaos. You know what I'm saying? They got at least 5 fire trucks around the building. They're starting to shoot water. And by the time I got a video on my phone, the fire is swirling above the building. You can literally see the flames like shooting out from the top of the building. And the smoke is ridiculous. And then intermittently, the wind of the day was blowing the smoke down on the street. So when you tried to get close, the wind would push the smoke down the street and would choke everybody. So you had to get away from the building because the smoke was being pushed down our street, literally. The smoke, ash, everything. And then this is the one thing I heard in the middle of it. I got fed up and I said, all right, y'all, I messed up. What you want me to do now? Tell me what to do, because I can do something. What you want me to do? He said, I want you to pray. But by the time he told me to pray, I had so much doubt in my mind and so much shame about how I acted and did not react on time that when it happened, I ain't had no faith behind my prayer. No faith. And he knew it. I didn't admit it. When he asked me to pray, I hesitated. I didn't immediately do it. Usually when he asked me to pray, I was like, all right, bet. Well, I guess I just got to pray. And I just go into it. This time I was just looking around and I was like, man, somebody going to see me out this joint, be looking crazy. My prayer ain't going to be heard. And I hesitated for about 3 or 4 minutes, and I had the nerve to ask the question. I was like, I asked myself the question after I asked him the question, what do you want me to do? I was like, man, what can I do? What can I do? He was like, I thought I told you to pray. And I was like, yeah, but I don't know. And when I said, I don't know, he was like, okay, since you don't know, put your hands up and pray. When he told me that, he said it a little bit more firmly. And when I heard him say it more firmly, I stood in the middle of the street, and I just put my hands like this, and I started praying. I ain't care. I pray for everybody in the building. I pray for E's safety. I pray for all the paramedic safety. I pray for the Marines, where everyone up in the building. I was just praying. I was like, forget it, I'm going to just pray. And at that point, I'm going to go ahead and pause my story. I'm going to hand it off to E, because I know E's Jones is he got activated. So I'm going to just let him talk about what happened when he pulled up. As soon as you pulled up, what was the thing you saw?
I start from, okay. It was interesting because from the beginning of the day, and it was Wednesday, because I was off from work that Wednesday. Just started getting my days off again, because working has become my job as general manager has become a actual active part of my life, just like being a father and a husband too.
Hold up, for some reason. Tell the people a little bit about yourself first, because this is the first time you've been on the show. You just mentioned the fact you're a general manager. I mean, what do you do?
All right. Like I said, I'm a general manager of an auto parts store, one of the best auto parts stores that I say that's out there right now. Plug. Advanced Auto Parts. Yeah, store 9029, 5404, Lee Highway, Arlington, Virginia. Come and see me, and my crew. But I apologize. But yeah, it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing, in all honesty, because some might feel that I shouldn't be there, but God has saw fit with the blessing of the position to be able to make things a lot less stressful monetarily, because he knows me, I'm a provider. Haven't always been the spiritual leader that I should be. That's the truth. So that's something I'm gonna start working on. God told me that. And I'm a husband. Haven't always been the husband that God has put me here to be. I'm working on that too. Father of 4. Oldest is in college right now. My son just graduated last year. My daughter's working on graduating. And the youngest one just had a heart surgery last Monday, 2 Mondays ago. Actually, the same week. It was
Same
the
week,
17th.
yep.
It was the 17th
Same
that he
week.
had his heart surgery. And he blessed him. Long surgery, 7 hours if I'm not mistaken. You know, got pictures of him laying on the table before he went to sleep. God did the surgery.
Amen.
I know he did. My mind has been all over the place, you know. And the devil is vicious. That's the truth. I don't know who listening, how many of you listening, but you best believe the devil is vicious, and he is just as real as God is. It's on what you listen to that makes the difference in not only your success in life, but also your longevity in life. I know that to be true. I'm in the position I am now right now because of God and God himself. Has nothing to do with me. I didn't do anything. I just listened to him. That's it. That's all I did was listen to him. And things are going to get better. They got to get better because they've been bad. You know, they've been bad. I mean, I could keep talking about that, but we're here for a specific reason, to speak of the testimony of that day. So basically the day started. The day before, I really wasn't aware of what took place for why we didn't get the breaks done at all, and it really didn't matter in hindsight looking back on what took place because it was all for a reason. God has a reason for everything, even if you don't understand what that reason is. Sometimes he allows, he does, and that's just true, you know. Sometimes it can be hard to understand it. And this was one of those times the day before, which would be the 18th, that I didn't even, I wasn't even going to think about why. I knew that the brother was going to pay me for the work. I was low on cash. Some of you probably trying to say, how general manager low on cash with me? You got 4 children. You're doing the best you can for all of them. And you live in life. It doesn't matter what job you have. If you're doing your job, you're going to need some. True. Because it's just how it is. And so it didn't take place on the 18th. Woke up that morning, had to shoot my kids over to school that day. Stumbling blocks in the midst of doing that, frustrated. Called my older brother, not the oldest one, but the older brother, Demetrius. He's been on the show before. Called him, hollered at him. He was like, yeah, I got about to go. He was going to talk to a fellow friend of his, and they was going to be in Laurel by his house. So I shot out there, but before I shot out there, probably around, I think I probably started trying to get in contact with you probably around like 9 o'clock. Shooting texts. I think I called you. Then I shot you a couple texts. And then we started talking about how we was going to meet up. Now, original time was supposed to be 1 o'clock. This is how God works, though, because, you may say to yourself, oh, man, that just happened like that, or man, that was luck, or I was just doing what I do. When you're talking about life, it's something totally different. And I understand that now because God had to talk to me and tell me that. That's just the truth. I don't think I'm no one special. I'm just someone that paid attention to the voice of the Lord. That's it. That's all that. That's how I look at it. I may be special in the eyes of my children because every father should be, in my opinion. But anyone else that looks at me, I know I am who I am, which is another man. Just like when I view humans, but always with respect. So I started calling the brother, trying to get in contact with him. By 11 o'clock, I think we was exchanging about a time. He said something about his roommate being able to meet me. I was contemplating, but I knew I wanted to talk to my brother. I wanted to talk to him. So I went on out to Laurel. We stood around talking. Now, the time that we were supposed to meet was 1 o'clock. But looking back on the situation, if 1 o'clock would have been the time,
Too early.
it would have been too early.
Way too early.
My brother and I was not engulfed in any type of conversation that needed to be had past. I like to keep my word to the best of my ability, and I looked at the time, and I realized that I wasn't keeping my word because when I looked at my watch, it was already 1 o'clock. And we continued our conversation. And me and my brother parted ways, headed down the highway. Once I got around the corner, this is another part. The GPS sent me to the wrong location. The GPS
He
sent
called
me to
me.
the other
That's right.
side of Pennsylvania Avenue
right.
to another location. So
Yeah.
I called the brother Brad. I'm like,
the pass.
Brad, what's your... That's exactly right.
He was on the phone with me till he got
I was like,
back to
Brad,
where
what's
he needed to
your address? He told me the address. I'm looking at the place. The GPS sent me here. I'm like, you got some construction going on in front of your house? He was like, nah. I said, well, bruh, what's the address? He gave me the address again. Not getting frustrated, but I'm like, I'm a critical, aggressive thinker. So I'm like, I'm the devil. I know this man ain't playing with me. That's what crossed my mind. But then it settled down. The Lord was like, man, pay attention. That's what the Lord said. Just pay attention. So just as soon as the devil tried to stop, because it's easy for me to get frustrated sometimes, but this wasn't the time for me to get frustrated. I'm like, man, I don't need this. I'm good, because I'm like, I'm following your address. GPS sent me to the other side of somewhere so totally different that it got me frustrated. So
I can hear it.
I stayed on the phone. He walked me through. As I'm coming down M Street now, and he let me know to make the right on to 5th. So as I come around, it's a parking space right in front of his house.
Right in front of the house.
After the fact, Brad tells me it's never parking space.
Never.
Right here
You
around
got a
this time of
van,
the day.
though.
And I have a van. Yeah, I have a van.
And the parking spot was directly in front of my car, which he needed to work on.
That's
Absolutely.
wild. That's
Absolutely.
perfect.
That never
That's-
happens.
Never happens.
Never.
That's how God do. But so when I pull up and I put the window down, Brad was standing across the street, like in between the cars at the curb side. And as I'm putting the window down, I'm looking at the building and I could see smoke. And the smoke is going up in the air, gray smoke and black smoke. So I'm looking at the building, I'm like, damn, Joe, it ain't even cold outside. And they got a doggone fireplace going strong as a mug in there. They're cooking. I'm like, what is going on? Then boom, I hear the fire trucks. But in between that, I asked Brad, I said, you got the brake pads? He said, yeah. He goes to grab the brake pad. He brings the brake pads back. By this time, he walking across the street, the first engine coming around the corner. I'm like, watch out, bro.
Yeah.
He stepped to the side. We had a little dialogue. Man, that is on fire. He like, yeah, that bad boy burning. So then, by this, a couple seconds go past, another engine come. I said, man, look, man, you got to watch out. It's another engine, they coming.
They
They was coming.
So the first one go up the street, got the front blocked off. The second one come up the street, goes a little bit to the right, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, down that
I'm
side,
looking up
though.
the street, and I see them rolling out the hoses. But I distinctly heard the Lord ask me, what are you doing? I know it was. What are you doing? Boom. I don't even know if I said anything else to him at that time.
Didn't.
I got out the car,
just
shut
went.
the door, and went
went.
up the street.
It went.
So when I went up the street, I hit the sidewalk. When I hit the sidewalk, you got a couple people that was actually there. The engines hadn't even hooked up
hadn't
all
hooked
the
up.
hoses, and got any water running at this time.
Right.
So I look at the door, and I didn't. Wasn't anyone coming out at this particular time. So the first person that came out had a walker. So I'm like, all right, okay. And I'm looking around and I'm seeing more people coming out their buildings, coming out their homes. And I asked someone, now it's people coming out the door. I'm like, what's going on? I say, what type of building is? What's going on? No one was really responding to me about that. But then I see someone come out with a wheelchair. Hear the voice of the Lord say, these people need your help. It's time to go to work. What are you doing? It's time to go to work. Bam. Lady was like, I got my one of her family members was on the 3rd or the 4th floor. She was on the phone with them, and
She took a phone.
was like, she needs some help. She can't get down, right? So I'm like, all right, okay. Give me the phone. I'm going up there. I'll find her. We're going to get her out of there. Just, let me get your phone. So I get her phone. As soon as she give me the phone, click, the phone cuts off. By this time, if I'm not mistaken, that's when Brad first made her phone call. No, Brad called me just before that because Brad heard me dialoguing with her
I heard it, yeah.
about the phone thing, right? So the phone cuts off on the lady who gave me the phone, and I'm like, all right, okay. I'm up in the building now. I'm helping people out as far as like, come this way. Y'all got to come on. Y'all got to come on. The building's on fire. Let's go. But every single person looked like they was walking slow. They was older. I'm not familiar with the building. So I didn't realize at first, initially, until everyone that I actually saw and was helping, it was some type of senior living home. You know, so everybody needed assistance. Everyone was older. Everyone needed some type of assistance. So I can, I'm just, now the Lord got my adrenaline going, and I'm like, oh, it's time. It's, we gotta help. We gotta help. The funny part about it is my phone called Michi. I forgot all about that. And Michi was like, man, what's up? I said, man, where y'all at? I was like, where y'all at? He was like, man, what you mean? I said, man, this building on fire. Where you and O at? He was like, man, we up to here. He said, man, what you talking to me for? I said, man, the phone called you. I'm going to talk to you later. Click. And I hung the phone up, right? So I'm steady moving around. It's not that it's so much of a blur, but I don't want to misspeak. I know it seemed like the first floor had stopped moving with people. When I came back out the building, I still had the lady's phone, and I knew I had to go back up in there because the Lord told me your work isn't done yet. So I'm looking for the lady, but I don't find her because I'm like, I got the phone up in the air, and I'm walking, and I'm looking for the lady. I'm looking for the lady. Bam, she pops out the crowd. I hand her the phone. I said, look, your phone just cut off. I didn't get a chance to talk to your people. Try to call them back. Tell them that we're going to get them out of, get them from up there, but here's your phone back. So I go around the side of the building. I don't know what next street that is. OMN is N. So we went on the side of the building, like we was making the right.
That alley, yeah. You was on. That's
like that little alley cutway, right? That leads right into where the Marines barracks thing was.
Fifth and what's K?
No, you at M.
No, I'm a Fifth and L is my corner.
Okay, that's L. Okay.
And
you're right.
One up from that, that's K.
Absolutely. Okay, you're right. Okay, so that's that little cutway right there, and as I went down the street, one of the maintenance people was like, "Man, there's people still on the second floor." I said, "People on the second floor." So within my mind, I'm thinking that a lot of time has passed by. Because I'm like, why are people still in the building? The whole time, there was no alarm going.
No alarm, Joe.
So I go up the steps to the second floor. And by this time, you got a couple of firefighters who were moving around on the first floor still. When I went up on the second floor, we didn't see anybody. And I'm like, hold up. I'm propping open the door. So I'm doing things that the Lord is putting on my mind that needs to be done. First of all, these older folk, when they are starting to come out this building, don't need to be worried about no door. And if this door gonna lock behind you, we're not gonna get you. You don't need to be trapped inside of this building. Right. So I'm finding stuff that I can prop up with the door. One door on one floor, I used like this little chair-looking thing. One door, I took a water bottle, smashed the water bottle up, stuffed it up into the door jamb. Another door, I used a figurine from the person's room, put it at the door, just to make sure that we had free access moving in and out of these different, corridors and stuff in the building.
Right.
So myself, I didn't see nobody moving. So I'm like, man, is everybody off of this floor? The fellow was like, man, there's more people in the building. So that wasn't where I was supposed to be at. That wasn't where I was supposed to be. Another person popped up. We helped him down the steps. That was it. That was the second floor. So I go around the backside. The backside had two doors. And there's people back there saying, it's people in the building. It's people in the building. I heard someone say the fourth floor again. Now, the fourth floor is the same floor that the lady that gave me the phone first spoke about.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, the fourth floor, I'm like, man, the fire's on the top. The fire's moving rapidly. They said already that the roof was starting to collapse. So I go up the steps. When I go up the steps, it's somebody, the first set of steps is someone right there that's at the second floor door. I'm like, I just was on the second floor. And you're thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, we got to hit the second floor. So I go through the door of the second floor. It was like in a little bowl, So by this time, you had some Marines and firefighters that was coming up. So, we died. Is the floor clear? They like, we don't know. I'm like, man, all right, okay. I just take off and start banging on the doors, banging on the doors. They coming behind me. We all banging on the doors and everything. I'm keeping, the Lord like, man, you got to go to the fourth floor. You got to go to the fourth floor. But I can't go past the second, third when I know that. So boom, banging on those doors right there. People start coming out. Some Marines and firefighters, of course, stayed on that floor to continue to assist. So I go up to the third floor, do the same exact thing. I'm asking questions still, and propping open doors and all of that. But I'm just banging. We had enough people, firefighters as well as Marines, that were, assisting with that. But my job was on the fourth floor, and I realize that now. I do realize that now. But at first, it was kind of unclear, but I know I was listening to the voice of the Lord, because the two situations that was taking place at that time, God needed me to help the situation out, you know, because one of them could have been real catastrophic, one of them, but I'll tell you about that in a second. So I'll go to the third floor, and as I finished with the third floor, that's when the fourth floor came up again from another, I think it was one of the maintenance people, you know, and I could see in his face, you know, he was like, man, it's a woman on the fourth floor, or it's a tenant on the fourth floor that's trapped in their room and they bedridden. They can't move. That's when the Lord said, that's where you need to be. So I go back out the door again in the stairwell. But as I'm going up the door in the stairwell, I come up to a tenant, another lady who, you know, it was a walker right there. If I'm not mistaken, it may have been a Marine that was already at that point. Everyone on the fourth floor, this is what they said, it was clear except for this lady that was in room 424. I'll never forget that number, you know, was in room 424. So, but as I'm coming up, I was stopped by this cluster of people. Now you got a lady who's standing at the rail, holding the rail, and she's being told by, I think it was a fire person, and it was a Marine or somewhere there, and they was telling her, you got to walk down, man, you got to go down the steps. It may not have been a Marine right there, but I know it was a fire person right there, and they're telling the lady she had to go down the steps. You got to go down the steps. You know, it's like, I can't. They're like, just hold on to the rail. Now, when a woman say she can't do something, she can't do it, especially if it's an older woman. Right. She didn't say I don't want to. She said I can't. So the Lord told me, he said, man, get her downstairs. Take her downstairs so you can go and do what you got to do, you know? So immediately, it was like second nature. It wasn't even a thought. It was just, I'm going to sit down on the step. You put your arms around me. Lock your arms around my neck, like, you know, so, and I'm going to carry you downstairs. I'm going to be your legs. So I sat down on the steps. She leaned over me, put her arms around my neck. And the lady or fellow was like, man, you know, the lady was like, somebody walk in front of him so he won't fall. I said, look, I got this. Stay good. Let's go. You know, we got to get her downstairs because I got to go back upstairs. Right. You know, so I walked down the steps, you know, didn't get tired, dripping sweat. But I knew I had a job to do, and I ran past a couple of Marines and firefighters going back up the steps. Oh, boom, 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 because I knew it was something. They said bedridden, fourth floor. How we going to get her down? How are we going to get her down? It's not my job, but it's my job because that's what God commissioned me to do at this time. That's right. You know, so as we going upstairs, I'm like, what room are they in? They like, you know, what? So he on the phone, it's 424. Just as he goes to knock on the door, there's another maintenance person that's in there that opens the door up. So he opens the door up. Now, I already know, I heard him when we went downstairs. They said the roof is collapsing. They need to hurry up, is what was said. Don't know who said it, but that's what was said. The roof was collapsing. And I forgot to tell y'all this. After the phone after I hung up with Michi, talked to Brad, I had to call my wife. So as I'm going through all of this, I got my wife on the phone. She like, you need to get out the building. The whole time, I done went to third floor, second floor, and all of that stuff, go up the steps. I'm talking to Paris on the phone. Smoke, son. And they having smoke. But I'm talking to my wife. I said, you know, I just want to, you know, call. She's like, you need to get out of that. I said, no, I'm good. You know, I got some people to help. She looking at it on the news by now. But, you know, my son, Eric, you know, he was shaken up by what he saw because they said that they saw me. You know, but they could see the magnitude of the fire, you know, that was taking place. What you saw and I was in, you know, because I didn't see it from outside until afterwards, once everything got to burning. But just like I asked you also, did it look as bad on TV as the situation seemingly was once I got out and started to kind of think about it? But being that I was in it and, you know, and I can look back and say, man, the Lord God had me. You know, it wasn't even about me getting hurt or nothing. It was just, man, do what you need to do. You know, do what you need to do. So, talking to my wife the whole time on the phone, throughout all of this whole ordeal, you know, and just, it was just a peace between the Lord talking to me and just her once she understood what was taking place, and just like, it was almost like okay.
Yeah, I understand.
You know, I understand, you know, but you know, and
So you need to get out of there.
You need to get
Do
out of
your
there.
job.
Yeah, you need to get out of there. And but when we went into this apartment right here, it was real interesting looking back on it because I've talked to another firefighter, and I've talked to other people. But when I came into the room, there was one firefighter in there. There was a maintenance person in there. The neighbor may have been in there at this time too, and it was a Marine or two, maybe in the midst too. But I'm focusing on this. Or what I saw was an older woman laying in the bed. The firefighter was out the window directing for the construction workers to move. And I was like, well, how are we going to get her out? And it was like, he said, I'm trying to get a ladder around so we can get her out. And the Lord was like, she's not going out that window no ladder.
Yeah, she bedridden.
How's she going to get out the window on a ladder? Now, I've had two grandparents that were paralyzed, one from the waist down, paraplegic. My grandfather had an operation in 91 and 92 that left him a quadriplegic, right? And the Lord had me prepared for both of these situations by going through assisting with both of their deficiencies that they wound up with.
Wow.
So I asked for a wheelchair. The wheelchair winds up in there. I don't know if the wheelchair was already in the woman's apartment because someone else wheeled it in, but they got the wheelchair, and I said, we got to put her in the wheelchair. You know, I knew her hands could work because I could see her moving. I didn't know why she was in the bed, but I knew that grandma was waist down. You can get in this wheelchair. You know, we started letting her know. I told her, I said, it's going to hurt a little bit, but we got to get you in this wheelchair. You're not going out that window. They was going to try to put this woman out the window.
Fold her up and put her out the window.
I'm like a ladder. Even if they would have been able to get the truck around there, it would have possibly been too late. But to use an extension ladder, and you talking about getting this woman out of this window that's paralyzed, not someone that could use all of their limbs to assist you with them moving, but this woman who's paralyzed, it wasn't going to be nice. That's why God said you got to go back in there.
Because they would have tried to take out.
Because they would have tried to
If you
take
weren't
this
there,
woman out the window, and
she could have died.
She could have died because of that.
Because of that. Yeah.
And I firmly believe it, you know. And so we got the wheelchair. I had to assist with the firefighter who was, I told him how it is that we needed to lift her up. Like I said, my grandmother, and my grandfather, my grandmother, my mother's mother, but my grandfather used to show us how to pull him up, which is you get up underneath of their arms to the ball of your arm right here, and you get up under their arms and you pull them up like this. The firefighter was trying to pull this woman up with the grips of his hands, and she was in pain. I could see, so I told him, look, you got to get up underneath her arms, hook her like this, and then pull her up. That's the only way we're going to get up. We didn't know how long this woman was in this bed. We didn't know what was going on, what type of deficiencies, what it was that was going on with her, but I knew we have to get her out safest way possible. This wheelchair is the best and only way to do that, you know. So we finally got in the wheelchair. We was racing against time because the roof was already starting to collapse. We didn't know where above us it was taking place at, and I wasn't focusing on that. I knew we had a freight elevator that we could use as well too. Just like the maintenance man said, we got to go down the freight elevator. But at the same time, the bottom line was we're getting you down, even if I knew we had to wheel you all the way down. The one thing about the freight elevator, you couldn't access that freight elevator from the 4th floor. We had to go down to the 3rd floor to access this freight elevator. Steady racing against time. So the lady, we got her out the bed. I got her legs. I knew how to scoop the legs up. I've done that with my grandmother to move her over, and I've done it with my grandfather to adjust him. Got the legs, showed the firefighter how to get up under her arms. Boom, we get her into the chair. Of course, she yelling and screaming. Funny thing about it, the lady say, my purse. Now, her purse right there, the firefighter was like, man, don't worry about the purse, man. We get the purse later. And I'm like, man, what's up with the purse, man? How grandma used to say, carry the purse. Get the purse, put the purse where? Put it on the arm of the chair. She never saw me grab it, though.
Keep
She
my
didn't see
purse
me
with
grab
me.
it. I grabbed the purse as we, the fella was spinning around now. At the time of leaving out the room, I'm in front of her. Because I'm like, my grandmother used to always say, my legs, watch my feet, watch my feet. So that's what was on my mind was her legs and her feet. But the Lord didn't want me right there. The Lord wanted me taking control of the actual wheelchair. Because of the lack of preparedness of everyone else that was around me. I had to
no
be in the back.
understanding in
They
that
had no
situation.
understanding of what was going on, but the Lord was walking me through this, like bringing everything back to my remembrance, so it could be taken care of. You know, so I was in front of her leaving out of the room. I took her purse, put her purse around the arm of the chair. I'm steady trying to fix the covers on her. You know, I'm thinking about the scene coming outside. This is an older woman. You know, it's a lot of stuff going on downstairs. You know, I'm like, okay, we got to keep her as, you know, as decent as possible. You know, making sure she's comfortable as possible. So the gentleman, you know, he's willing her. He's just willing her flat, all 4 wheels on the ground. She's just about, she can't really bend, you know, because she's been bedridden for so long. I'm like, the Lord was like, as we got to the stairwell, I'm in front. I'm thinking about her feet. The Lord said, you got to get the wheel. You got to get control. Because if you don't, she going to come down them steps on you. Because the fella didn't understand and know what to do. So before we popped the wheelie, I stood up. I told him, hold on. I stood up, came around the back side of the wheelchair. I didn't even say nothing to him. I just slid in between the
moved him out the
handles,
way. Yeah.
moved him out the way. I said, you go ahead down there and get her legs. And I popped the wheelie. When I popped the wheelie back, well, actually first I put my arms up underneath because he was steady. He forgot what I said. He's steady trying to grip her. So I flipped my arms underneath her, gripped her back up, and pulled her up as far as possible up in the chair. And I let her know, I said, you know, you're going to be in a little bit of pain, but we got to get you out of here. Her roommate was, her neighbor was right there, and I popped the wheelie. And when I popped the wheelie, you know, I could see that she had a little bit more comfortability because she was
leaning back.
She was leaning back.
Right.
So boom, 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 we started bumping down the steps. Boom, 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 started bumping down the steps. One flight around, boom, 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 bumping down the steps. 3rd floor, that's the only floor we could access the freight elevator. I'm like, I know what I was told, you know, not to be using no elevators and no fire.
Yeah.
So I didn't say anything to interfere with what was suggested. It was suggested by, you know, the that's what they said. They was, you know, we getting
Professionals that was in there. Supposedly.
yeah. So, but I didn't speak against it. I'm like, you know, either way, I'm helping getting this woman. She need to get out this building. So, you know, we go down. I'm like, Lord, you know, you gotta help us. And the power hasn't gone yet. You know, hopefully the power don't drop. I don't know if this bad boy got a backup generator, but you know, we gotta get out of here. You know. So we come down. Bam, 1st floor. We go to one direction. Doors locked. Whole time I got my wife on the phone telling her, you know, I'm about to come out. About to come out now. About to come out. About to come out now. The whole time I'm wheeling this woman not only down the steps, but in the elevator and all the way out of this building, I had that bad boy popped on 2 wheels back to give her the most comfortability as possible. The Lord had my arms and my legs because I know my body didn't feel it until the next day, but at that time,
You feel nothing.
I was all right. Wheeled her around the side that we was about to go out to the middle of the courtyard, and it looked like it was raining because it was so much water that was pouring down from the trucks. It was just all over the place, debris and everything on the ground. And I'm just looking, I'm like, Lord, we got about to take this woman outside. I don't have no hard hat on. We don't have nothing to cover up this woman properly to keep her from getting hit. You know, the maintenance guy who had the legs at the time, because I told him to take over for the firefighter because the firefighter was struggling. You know, he had a uniform. You know, he had all of that stuff on. He had equipment on and everything. Right. He was wearing out. You know, so by the time we got to the hallway to lead out to the front, you know, I just said a prayer. I was like, Lord, please don't let any of us get hit in our head. You know, I could take a leg out. You know, but I'm thinking about I'm like, Lord, just, you know, protect us. Come outside. You got debris outside. And it sounded like it was raining. It was just water pouring down. Like, you seen how wet I was when I finally caught back up with you. Yeah. And came out the front door. By this time, the firefighter went in his direction. The maintenance person, I think, went in his direction. And it seemed like it was just me and the lady that was right there at the time. So I'm looking around now to see how can I get her down. It just so happened to be a ramp right there. Still got her popped in the wheelie. Wheeled her down around the ramp. And on over, by this time, the police officer that was out there, you know, he came over, assisted us across the street. One of the firefighters that I had dialogue with out front, brother was still standing outside. And by this time, you know, I needed some assistance with some breathing. So I asked him for some oxygen. That's when he took us down the street around the corner to the ambulance and gave me some oxygen. But this is the funny part about it, though, right? This is the kicker to it, because I heard the voice of the Lord. Once I got my oxygen, we got out of there. He was telling us to go up into the rec center for something. They must have thought that I was a tenant or something, or a neighbor, you know, something of that nature. They didn't know why I was down there. They just knew I just came out the fire and I needed some assistance and oxygen and everything. So they said something about setting up something, and then inside, and so we got the oxygen for a moment. Brad had came up in there. He had said a prayer in there. I reassured the lady, but when we got downstairs, the lady looked at me. Her eyes got kind of wide because once we got over there right in front of the building, still by the police officer and the firefighter was about to walk us around the corner, and this is when I finally put her down on two wheels, and they was putting her in the bed, so in the stretcher. So they put her up on the stretcher, and when they put her up on the stretcher, her wheelchair was right there. I reached on the wheelchair, and I grabbed her purse, and I set her purse on her lap. And she looked at me like, what it looked like. And I gave her the thumbs up. I said, I didn't forget your purse. Put her purse right there on her lap. Wheeled us on down the street and everything. But as I came back out of the rec center, and I didn't know why at the time, but I could hear the voice of the Lord say, you're not done. So, it's not done. So I walked back up there to the building, and nobody stopped me, right through the yellow tape, right back up there, smoke everywhere, firefighters sitting down, thing. By this time, I'm quite sure I was sure that everyone was out of the building. I was sure everyone was out of the building. Walked around the backside to the two doors that I had to access to get up the steps and everything, and the second door that I went up to get to the fourth floor to where the ladies' room and everything was at. And I was asking, I said, man, yeah, everybody out? It was a couple other people that needed assistance coming across the street, but they said that's everybody out of the building now. Now, I thought that the lady in the building in room 424 was the very last person, period. But there were other people, of course, because of running around knocking on the door, that they had to, I'm quite sure, bust open doors to get people out, to help. Because all I started doing was knocking on the door. My job was on the fourth floor. The lady who couldn't walk down the steps that they was trying to get to walk down the steps, and the woman who they was about to take out the window. That was what my job was for, those two, but there was one more. And it was about 5 days later that they found out that there was another dude, there was an older dude, 70-something years old, 75. That was still inside the building. That's what, floor. I don't know if he was on the fourth floor, though, but that's what, and I told my mother, I said, man, and when I heard, and it dawned on me, it was like the Lord was like, man, that's but I had him. Yeah. I had him. And the guy acknowledged it too on his they had a recording interview of him, and the gentleman said, it was me and my God. I was all right. That's what the fella said. I was in here with me and my God. I was all right. But he was in there from that Wednesday, 5 days later.
Sure enough.
He was in there 5 days after that. I don't know if the family member or if he just walked out like, man, what in the world is going on? I don't know how he got out. I didn't hear the actual newscast, the actual report, but I heard some of it and I heard what he said. I know he said that he was in there with him and his God. But, when it was all said and done and I was able to look back on it, God is real. I know God is real because looking back on that situation, even if the lady that needed help coming down the steps that I put on my back, even that lady.
Ma said the person was on the second floor.
The person was on the second floor. Okay, so that was the very first floor that I hit, and that was the very first floor that they were starting to, knock the doors in. So that's kind of, God is good because he watched over that man that whole entire time. Because I listened to man, I didn't go back in there. The Lord was going to take me straight to him. I believe that. He was going to take me straight to him. And I'm looking at everybody sitting down. Everyone was sitting down. The firefighters, they was gassed out, of course. By this time, the Marines were already making their way back across the grass to where they was at, bringing people over. A couple people was in stretchers. The main one, the one that was paralyzed from the waist down, she had already been on the way to get her medical attention. They put her into the rec center, and then they was moving her over to another location, and then they took her to the hospital. I can't remember her name. I think it was Watkins or Watson. I think it was something with a W, if I'm not mistaken. But I believe that that's what, the Lord was trying to tell me, but I listened to man. So he had to intervene. He had to make sure that the fellow was all right because they, in between that, showed, if I'm not mistaken, some type of demolition at the time to make sure that the fire was out, like pulling debris off the top with backhoes. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm not mistaken, I saw something of that nature in between that time. And regardless of that, between the smoke and structural damage, other than God, that's the only reason why that man was all right. That's the only reason why that man was all right.
So, you know, I know and believe, you know, and I've gone through some tough things. The devil has tried to really play games with my mind with certain things, but, you know, I know that he's always been with me. My mother's always been a strong prayer. I do believe in prayer. You know, like I told my wife on the phone when I was talking to her, just pray. You know, my son, my youngest boy, he got a little emotional because he was watching on the news, and he said a prayer. You know, he could hear my voice. You know, he didn't know what was going on, you know, but when you listen to God and you're doing what the Lord wants you to do or the Lord has for you to do, then you don't have to worry about anything.
It's true.
Regardless of what takes place, you're going to be all right. That's the bottom line. He's been watching out for me for a long time. I done had some situations that have taken place with me that, honestly, up until that fire situation, I've always sort of given credit to man. But the whole time I can honestly tell and see now, man, if it wasn't for God, I'd have got shot one day. If it wasn't for God, I'd have lost my life in another situation, another time, would have gotten locked up numerous of times, but it was all because of God's mercy on me and his grace that allowed me to, as we like to say, skate and make it to this point of me sitting right here and talking about the situation that the Lord brought me through on the 19th. I didn't realize how serious it was. My brother had to tell me that it was vicious. I just looked at it as another day's work, what the Lord had me to do, because at the time I knew it was God. I'm like, why else would I go up in the building other than the man that I am and God assisting me with my endeavors? Because like I said, even if the lady that was on the steps would have walked down them steps, eventually the men that was around, they didn't know what to do. God told me to sit down on the steps and put her on your back. Went into that room. That lady in there, she was helpless. The Lord said, put her in the wheelchair, wheel her down. Regardless of how far you got to wheel her down. That's what you got to do. Get her out the building. And that's what I did. I listened to him. It was a blessing. You know, I'm just glad everybody came out the building all right. It was an eye-opening experience for me, honestly. You know, I've started to look at things differently in life, understand things a little bit differently in life, all because I listen.
All because you listen.
All because I listen, you know. And I just thank God for speaking to me that day, because even when I'm not involved with something, when I see stuff, because I generally care, I don't like to get turned on in that other direction. I really don't, even though, you know, I like to, you know, I care about people. And sometimes when I hear about stuff that has taken place to people, it kind of, hurts when you hear unfortunate stuff, you know, that take place to people. I go through things, struggle, you know, financially, all types of stuff, you know, but I'm taking care of my business, and I like that because I'm a father, I'm a husband, you know, so the best of my ability, I got to take care of my business, I got to take care of what I got to do. We struggle, you know, that's what it's all about, makes you stronger. The Lord don't never put too much on you that you can't bear, you know, so if I'd have been listening to that radio, looking at the news, and I heard about that lady who died in her room or fell off that ladder and got, you know, traumatically, real, some type of more trauma done to her, and then to find out I was standing outside at the time, that wouldn't have sat right with me. That's just the type of man I am. It wouldn't have sat right with me. That's why I was right there. That's why I went up in the building. That's why the brakes didn't get done the day before. That's why I took time up there to talk to my brother longer than the time that was first put aside, which was 1 o'clock, for us to actually meet. It started out as 12. Then I kicked it to 1. And then I wound up getting there at 2, almost 3, somewhere in between there, right?
Yeah.
And it was right on time.
It was right on time.
But yeah, that's it for me.
No, that ain't it. You just getting started. But it's funny. I'm like this. I think, well, you already know. I had something I wanted to say in response, but I think that testimony and the powerfulness of it, in my personal opinion, needs to be left where it is. And we can expound on it. But I don't know that anything. I think whoever's watching needs to understand one thing, and one thing only for real from this experience. You got to listen when the Most High is speaking. And it ain't always about how you react. You might react and end up reacting wrong. Say you'd have felt like, I got to do what he did. You wouldn't have been out there praying. He needed you outside praying. Your phone accidentally called me. Your phone called Meechie on purpose. Meechie came over to me, stopped me. I'm on the moor. He said, man, E and Brad down there running up and burning buildings. I'm like, I didn't get excited. I didn't get frantic. I was just like, all right, Most High, you got to work. He was like, shoot, I just prayed about it. I said, well, we'll go back to work. I kept on cutting. Didn't give it another thought. Not like, oh, my brother in trouble. Because I'm like, if he made a move, he was told to make the move. You know what I'm saying? And whatever the situation is. And the fact that you were there. And yeah, we had our little dialogue. Me and you talked about that too. I felt like, but my feelings don't matter. So I'm not even going to go into how I felt about anything. What happened from the day before to the breaks not getting done, you got to be able to use your spiritual lenses and see it ain't always about what you think or what you feel. It's about you helping others. We all weapons. All weapons aren't used the same way. You know what I'm saying? That daggone joint they use to bust doors open in a situation like that as a weapon. That battering ram at the same thing, a pistol is a weapon. You know what I'm saying? A jack can be considered a weapon. You know what I'm saying? Depending on how it's used, but they all have their purpose. They all have what they're supposed to do. Your job was to be in that joint of a calm mind. Where everybody else was frantic, you were listening. You was listening. You wasn't in there trying to figure nothing out. You was in there listening. Had you been in there trying to figure something out, you may not have made it to that lady. And the thought crossed my mind, bro, and I don't know, but if I'm of a mind to believe that woman that gave you that phone, initially, that woman in 424 was on the phone. That's what crossed my mind when you started. I don't know if it's, I don't know.
The lady, if I thought about that too, it was possibly either the lady in 424
or the lady that was
the lady that was at the steps, because she said she can't walk.
I'm thinking it was the woman in the bed, because that's what initially was brought to you. Well, that's what you initially engaged in first. You took the phone. You may have said something. I don't know if you ever heard a voice in response, but the phone hung up.
Yeah.
When you started talking to that lady, she might have been like, man, this is the voice I heard on the phone. Who is this dude? And where did he come from? Why these people barking orders at her? You come through like, look, this is going to hurt. You know what I'm saying? Gave her what she needed to hear to put her in a comfortable state of mind, to trust you, to do something for her she couldn't do for herself. That's what the Most High trying to get with us. He's trying to get us in a state of mind to trust him to do what we can't do for ourselves, even though we're in a situation where the building is coming down around us. It's just all hectic around us. But sometimes he got to make you bedridden. So you can't move on your own. So you can only wait on his voice. You know what I'm saying? To let you know, I got you. You're going to be all right? Or we're going to get down. And we're going to get out. And I'm going to get you through the mess that's going on outside. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, blew me away. But I'm at a point now in my life, it's like, man, I'm not surprised no more at nothing. I'm boosted when I see people listening who I know weren't always prone to listen, and they recognizing who they listening to. That make all the BS all the more worth it going through it. You know what I'm saying? It's all a process. You know what I'm saying? It's a process. It ain't about the product, it's about the process. You know what I'm saying? Everything has its transition. It's a progression. You ain't born this way. He creates you. He recreates you. You understand what I'm saying? You're being formatted into the weapon of mass salvation that he created all of us to be. Yeah, you're a father. Yeah, you're a husband. Yeah, you're a general manager. You're a provider. That's your job. You provided a service for them people, free of charge. But those are stars in your crown, so it wasn't free. You put your life on the line for them people. But you believe that because and we got to keep this mindset going in the situation, Joe. The most I tell you, go into a building that look like it's about to be done for them people in there, man, he got you. Even if you walk out with the building coming down, man, he put 3 boys in a fire. He put 3 people in the fire. We didn't put them in there. Through faith, they were allowed to be placed in a literal burning furnace. Just like that building was a furnace of sorts. Brick and mortar. You know what I'm saying? That was the kiln. You was in the kiln. Your pot, your vessel was being perfected in that situation. The vessel got to go through the fire before the pot is finished. You got to go in the kiln and get that heat on it before it's finished. Now you ready. I don't be honest with you, bro. I don't know what you want to speak on about that. But I don't know that we need to go anywhere else.
No, we don't need it. As far as his testimony, that joint, just like you said, it sat exactly where it was.
But I mean,
I need to articulate a very important lesson that I learned.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in a situation where somebody else has been under stress or pressure, and I've been told to pray, and it was fine, and no second thought. But when the enemy was in my mind, when he was enhancing the doubt that I started in my own mind, and it was crashing down, I want to make something very clear. It got to the point where it was intolerable, and I had to stop everything, and I was like, enough. Y'all, what do you want me to do? Because that's what I did. And I believe the Lord allowed that pressure to come into my mind so that I would get to that point, that breaking point, and say, enough. I'm still out here breathing. What do you want me to do? That's why my voice is going down. He don't want me to speak on this part. I'm going to speak on it. When that happened, as soon as I put my hands up, started praying, there was the doubt that led into it. This was all a lesson. I had to come from up under the doubt I had laid on myself. Because when he first told me to pray, I told you I hesitated. Because I didn't think that my prayer would be heard. I didn't think it would carry any weight. Because I had already programmed my mind into a position that's like, you ain't nothing. I indulged what I was being told in my mind.
Right.
When it was a couple times I got on the phone with E. I got on the phone with E 3 separate times. 3 times. The third time he called me, the first 2 times I called him. After the second time I called him, this is when I heard him banging on the doors. When he kept doing it, and when he finally got back on the phone from banging on the doors, I was like, go do what you got to do. The Lord is using you. And I hung up. He was like, he's doing what I need him to do. Don't worry about him no more. Just pray. Prayed over his situation. When that finished, and E called me back, he's like, man, I'm cool. I was on the phone with my wife just a second ago. I'm about to come out the building this was after he had the wheelchair. I'm assuming, because I'm not sure where he was in the building when this was happening.
In the room?
In the room.
That's when I was telling you that I was about to
That's
come
right.
down.
That's right. Because he called me back. Because I was like, yeah, I can't let my mind, even after I prayed, I was like, I can't let anything happen to old brother.
Do you understand? Just in that little dialogue right there, which I'm sure is your first time hearing that, that's the Most High confirming to you that he had him. He was still in the room. He didn't know everything was cool.
Right.
But he told you, don't worry about it, I got him.
Right.
So he called you and let you know, look, I'm about to come down.
That's right.
But he was still in the room.
He was still in the room. He
didn't know he was going to actually make it out of that room.
I didn't know where he was. I didn't know where he was.
But he called to affirm your prayer. So you could be at peace. You might have thought, when he said it, I'm walking out the door. But he was still in the room. That's how the Most High works. So you wouldn't stress. But go ahead. I just wanted to let you know that that's what,
I appreciate that. I didn't look at it like that before. But the same way he affirmed every move you made and gave you split directions, when I saw you come down that sidewalk staggering, I was like, the Lord was like, go over to him and help him walk. I ran over to him, got up under his shoulder, and he was staggering. I was going to bring him into my house to have him sit down. He was like, no, I got to get oxygen. But I didn't hear him the first time. We went past my door. I was about to bring him into the house. He said, nah, I got to get the oxygen. I was like, oh, well, where? He was like, over there. He just pointed. So I just walked him over there. We found the dude. He's like, go to that ambulance. Matter of fact, there was an ambulance on the corner. They made him walk past that ambulance and go to an ambulance that was further. And he was like, just walk with him. Went over to that ambulance. When we got in there, the woman that he brought out was in that ambulance. Hold on, I ain't finished. He gets into the ambulance, sits down, they strap him up with the oxygen, and the woman who he brought out, Miss Watkins, that's how I know her name. She was lying there, and the dude who was in there, the paramedic, he was handling a bunch of stuff, so he couldn't really pay attention to her, and she was getting frantic. She was just shaking like this, and she was moaning or saying something, and so the Lord was like, pray. So I put my hands on top of her hands just like this, and I just started praying. She heard me. I was like, in the name of Yeshua. I just started praying. As I started praying, her hands were shaking like this. She just started calm down, and she started stroking my hand like this. And she couldn't talk because she had the oxygen thing on her face. And she was when I stopped praying, I looked at her, she was looking right up at me. She was just going like this. She was just rocking, just like that. Shortly after that, the Lord was like, pray for the paramedic. So I started praying for him. Right after that, somebody started banging on the back of the ambulance. It was her daughter.
It was her daughter.
Her daughter came into the ambulance, sat down right next to me, and broke out crying. She was like, my mother just got into a burning building, and my son was the boy who got shot on the corner when they had that shootout a month before. Her son. Only 2 people got hit in that whole joint. One of the dudes is an older brother that lives in the cul-de-sac next to my house. I seen him. He's on crutches. The boy that got shot was the only other person, and his mother was the one who came into the ambulance, and it was her mother that was lying that he pulled out. He was like, put your arm around. She just started crying. She's like, it's too much. I'm about to give up. I can't take this no more. She was just going. He was on the phone with his wife at the time. I don't know if you heard, but she was going through it. I put my hand on her back. I started praying. I asked her what her name is. I think her name is Tanya. She said Tanya. And I was like, what's your last name? She said, Watkins. She said, this is my mother. And they went back in the discourse because Miss Watkins' sister was in there too. Her aunt. Mm-hmm. But her aunt made it out as well. Mm-hmm. Because they told us in there, they said, we got her out too. The sister, they said, we got her out. So I was like, okay. Prayed over her. Prayed over her son, who was still in the hospital recovering. And when I never forget.
Oh, so he didn't get killed?
He did not.
Okay.
He got shot.
Because she was speaking up. She was like, we got to get from down here.
We got to get from down
here.
here.
Going on.
Yes.
First, my son gets shot. Now you've been in this fire.
Yeah, she was going.
You know, the whole time the mother was trying to speak, you know. I rubbed her on her shoulder, too. She kind of looked over at me. I heard you saying your prayer. I put my head down, bowed down, said a prayer, too. But all I could do was just, you know, give her the thumbs
That's
up.
it.
And I said, you know, you all right, you know, but I'm speaking through my mask too. I said, yeah, you be all right, God got you, you know, you all right.
When I got out of the ambulance, I'll never forget it. And this is where the affirmation came for me that I was calm for the rest of the evening. He's like, when the enemy comes in like a flood, he quoted it. I will raise up a
Spirit of the Lord will raise up a standard against them.
bruh.
But you know, to top it all off,
The
though,
joke
Brian,
was so real, Slim. Because the reason why it impacted me so much is because the devil was screaming at me before that happened. But after the Most High spoke, he was silent.
Shut up.
He
You had no
couldn't.
choice.
He couldn't
he
say
couldn't
nothing.
speak,
I couldn't even recall what he said. Now I want you to picture this. If I yell at you about something, you gonna remember what I yelled at you about. After I was affirmed for doing what he told me to do, I couldn't even remember the words that the devil said. Not only could he talk, but his words had left my mind. Like he had wiped my mind clear of all the doubt before. And when I got home, he's like, that's exactly what I do with your sin. I wipe it out and I forget it.
That's what Brian touched. He made a key point. I'm outside of the testimony. That's my only point I'm going to make. I have several things I wanted to say, a couple, but we say that for another show. He was like, man, our problem is we don't confess our sins like we should. He said, if you confess your sins, he is faithful. The word said, if you confess your sins, he's faithful and just to forgive us our sins and cleanse us of all unrighteousness. He was like, if I tell you, this is what Brian said, he gave an example. If I tell you all you got to do is apologize to me, and you all right? And you like, what I do? Well, what I need to apologize for? You get to ask a question. We say, man, all you got to do is apologize to me, and you good. I'm sorry. All right, it never happened. And I'm listening to him. I told you, he called me and started preaching. I'm like, Joe, I don't always confess my sins. I take for granted the Most High knows. Oh, he knows what I just did. He knows what I'm going to do anyway. I talk to him, but do I confess? I might talk to him about, man, I was in this situation. I shouldn't have been there. But do I confess the fact that I was wrong? Do I tell him what I did while I was there? Like confess, flat out, and ask for forgiveness. Regardless if it gets repetitious, regardless if it gets repetitive, redundant, whatever the case may be. If you confess, don't say if you can. You only got 100,000 times to confess. If you confess, he's faithful and just to forgive you your sins and cleanse you. All we got to do, we can't outlive his forgiveness. We can't get away from his ability to cleanse us from our unrighteousness. But he's the only one that can do it. Our righteousness is filthy rags. But the point Slim was making was like, man, it's a faith thing. Do we really believe that? We say we got a relationship. We say we know who God is. We say we know who, Lord, Jesus, whatever you want to call him. We say you got a relationship with the Son. Do you confess your sins? You, in your mind, you're driving down the street. Somebody cuts you off. The devil plants a thought in your mind. Man, I should cuss this thing out. You ride past him, give him the finger. Keep driving. You didn't cuss anybody out, but you follow through with that act. Your day goes by. You never give thought to that situation again. Lord, thank you for sparing my life to this day before you go to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Forgive me for my sins. Is that confessing? We group everything together. Forgive me for my sins.
Right. Yeah.
Is that confessing your sin? Or that's just asking for forgiveness?
Brings humility.
to talk about, and I'm in a truck,
It humbles you.
and then we get into this thing like, if we say something out loud, the devil gonna hear us. That's BS. That's a lie from the pits of hell.
My
To
junk is
keep
angry.
us from speaking over, we're supposed to speak over ourselves.
Right.
Blessings, you know what I'm saying? Healing over ourselves, but we're not gonna talk out loud because we scared the devil gonna hear us. I had to check myself on that today. Because I'm in the truck, I'm like, oh, I got some stuff I need to confess. And as I'm talking, I'm hearing myself, I'm like, dang. That's why I don't like reading the Bible out loud, because I can hear myself. And I sound unintelligent, I sound like I'm messing the words up. So I let the Spirit speak, I read to myself. We got to learn how to talk, you know what I'm saying, speak to situations, to individuals, to ourselves, and not be so worried about what this punk behind enemy has the ability to do. He has no control over our will. We cannot be made to do
nothing.
anything.
That's right.
It's got to be a choice. I don't care how much pressure you feel is on you. It's a
It's
choice.
always a choice.
You got to tell the Most High, I like doing this. That's the truth.
That's the truth.
Whether you, oh man, I'm sick. Every time I take a drink, I feel like I'm about to die. You know what I'm saying? But I like drink. It doesn't make sense. We're insane. There's something wrong with us. But we got to talk to him about it. He's the only one that can do something about it. And everything's against us here. Everything's against us here, man. They got the ability to shoot thoughts into your head. And they come from the part of your brain where your thoughts originate. I'm going to leave it at that. Because it's an hour and a half video I watched. I'm talking about technology, bruh. All these things you call cell phone towers or what? Nah, Slim, they shooting all types of crap into the air, manipulating people. If you ain't got a connection with the Most High, Slim, people, envision how many people you see walk around every day either looking sad, or mad, or just happy for no reason, seemingly. They're being controlled. Faye told us a long time ago, Mom was like, man, they got a chemical they put in toilet paper as a test. And when you wipe yourself, it'll change your mood. It's everything. We constantly we're lab rats, bro. For real. We constantly had tests run on us, and we don't even know it. Dude say Seattle is a proving ground for this technology. They just out there experimenting on Seattle. So if you want to see it firsthand, go to Seattle and go from building to building to building, see how everybody's attitudes be like the same in these buildings. But it makes sense to me because I'm constantly fighting thoughts. I'm like, man, I just attribute it to being the devil. But and like we touched on it last night, it's funny how you placed it. Jeremiah 29:11. I know the thoughts that I think to you, saith the Lord, thoughts of good and not of evil. So we constantly battling in our mind. It's a constant battle of what to think about and what not to think about. But when you got not only the devil as your enemy, but you got these scientists under the control of the devil coming up with ways of shooting BS into your head for the purpose of manipulating your actions where you think it's you. They trying to play God. They trying to get your thoughts gone, get your thoughts tripping. And we help them with the music we listen to, with the stuff we look at on TV, with the food we eat, with what we drink, you know what I'm saying? With the places we go, the people we interact with, all of that aids in our thought process, what we put in our body. It's almost like, man, you need to take a minute to just don't do nothing. Even the water we drink, this stuff got silicone in it. It's like they're trying to turn us into little computers, we're receptors, conductors or whatever. For the electronic energy, they shoot waves through the air. You know, you think about it, you on a cell phone, you talking to somebody, you talking to Darren, he in Ecuador. How? You talking to a box, he talking to a box. Y'all communicating. Them waves in the air is vicious. And that's exactly how they play with our minds. They play with our minds. And if you ain't got a foundation, if you ain't rocking with the Most High, you the enemy. Anyway, we take on the role of the enemy if we rocking with the Most High, we're the enemy to all this technology. You got to have a relationship. You got to know that the Most High is not going to think no negative stuff to you. He's not going to think nothing to you that's going to put you in harm's way. He's not going to think nothing to you that's going to damage you. It may put you in a tough situation, but you got to know these thoughts is coming from him. He got me. And then when you got people praying for you on the back end, you know there's people praying for you. That's the only weapon we really got. Yeah. We got two, faith and prayer. Those are really our only two weapons against the enemy, faith and prayer. And, three, testimony. Because you got to have faith. You got to pray to have faith to be able to receive a testimony. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't got a connection with the Most High through prayer, how are you even going to believe that he is who he say he is? But if you praying and you believe it, he's going to put you in a situation where you can tell people what he did, not what you did. There may have been a point in your life where you might have felt like, yeah, man, Joe, I just ran up in this building and say these people, man, go grab me. We gonna pop some bottles tonight. You know what I'm saying? Celebrate what I did today. You ain't do nothing but listen. That's all you did. And he used you, because I remember what you looked like the day before. Your legs seemed kind of weak today, but he gave you enough strength to do what he told you to do. Now, you can't take credit for it. All you allowed yourself to do was be a vessel that was on the verge of shattering, that needed to have some divine putty smacked on it. Was probably why you went to talk to Michi first, and then he put you in the fire. So he could seal up all them 30, 40 years of cracks. He had to seal all that mess up to put you back on display. Now you're back on display. Now that's the vessel that people want to look at this vessel now. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna. It's a story. It's always been a story. But now you're like, look, man, that's what the Most High did with me. I've been through the fire. Real talk. I've been through the fire, and that ain't bragging. I was in it. You know what I'm saying? The building was burning around me, but I was listening, and he directed me to people. Hey, you know, bro was still in the joint, but the Most High was with him.
God had him the whole time. And that's what he said.
But you made a key point, and I don't want that to be missed. He said, you listen to man. Firefighters is like, oh, everybody good. Everybody out.
People talking, everybody out now. Everybody out.
Everybody out.
I heard inside of the rec center when the fellas that was walking around in the suits, the tight suits, and with their clipboards and stuff. I heard the words, everyone's accounted for. And on the news, they made mention of how could everyone be accounted for? And they was trying to place blame on who did this, who should have that, and all of this other stuff. I had a firefighter that I talked to that came into my store, gave him a breakdown of what happened. He said they have something that they said is called a call out. And if I'm not mistaken, that's when they give out word that this area is clear or that area is clear. You know, so I don't know what room he was in or what, you know, I know the second floor is what Mom said that they said he was on the second floor. But exactly if someone somewhere throughout there, that transaction of words and finding out if that was true, if it was actually clear, it was missed. He was missed, you know, but God had him, you know.
And that's what I'm talking about. That needs to be, it has to be processed, you know what I'm saying? Because I know the potential it has to weigh on the individual's mind that was told to make a move, made the majority of the move, but didn't complete the move. I know how that can weigh on a person's mind.
My broke it down. You know, she was just like, you know, God, you know, God protected him. God had his back. He was the one. You know, he handled it. He took care of it. He was supposed to be out that day though.
See, the beautiful part about it is, right, and this is the Most High. You don't make mistakes. You don't make mistakes. There was multiple tests going on there. Multiple tests going on right there, right? You would listen. You would listen. You listened. You listened. You listened. You listened. You were still listening. You were breaking down. He's not going to put more on you than you can bear. The fact that he told you you ain't finished, and you went back to the building, you did what you were supposed to do. He already had plans to keep Slim safe, keep him safe. He already knew, but he wanted to know, is he going to lead a wreck and go back? And you went back. Ho. I'm not finished. I'm not. No. This. All right. What? What else is there? I don't know. Where am I supposed to go? You could have walked in that building and collapsed. Would you have died? I don't know. It would have been said he listened. You still got to be a husband. You still got to be a father. You still got to be a manager. But you listened. And he protected that dude. He protected him. And that dude might need to sit there and think about some stuff. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not God. But everything happens for a reason. But if he said, I was in here with my God, apparently he was in there having a conversation with the Most High. Apparently they was in there kicking it. So it ain't like he was in there scared,
he knew what
terrified.
happened to the building.
You know what I'm saying? He knew. He had to hear what was going on.
He had to hear it.
Now, whether he was yelling out, calling out, that's all speculation. We don't know. How could he have been yelling, nobody heard him? I don't know. Maybe it was supposed to be preserved there. So this conversation could take place, and you could be assured you listened because you went back. You did go back to the building.
Right. I got you. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because it was on me, man. It crushed me that morning when I heard that.
Nah, bro.
Actually, the day before, I got a phone call to my job. And God was like, man, you remember that? Because I told one of my customers. And he was like, man, there was somebody left in that building. I'm like, somebody was left in the building. I'm like, nah, I know that everybody. I'm like, I heard, but I know they checked. They had to have checked every room. There's no way. So at first I was thinking that someone was injured. And the devil tried to make me feel like, man, you didn't do nothing. You know, you left somebody. Man. You know,
you see how much of a sucker he is? You saved 4 or 5 lives, and one person got overlooked. He gonna try to make you think you didn't do nothing. Niggas clown, Joe.
Yeah. So I did what you're saying. I did listen. I heard that he was like, man, you're not done, you know. And I walked up there like I want to say like 2 or 3 times past the tape and everything, you know, right past them. You know, firefighters, police officers, nobody
Like
said
they
a
didn't even
thing to
see
me.
it.
It was like I was just walking. I walked up there 2 times. I walked up. Went up the first time, asked that question. They was breaking down. Smoke started coming down like it was falling. First time I ever seen smoke do that. It was like it was falling down. Had the whole entire street covered.
Joe.
When you got close enough to the building, you couldn't even see the building that from certain angles. The smoke was so thick.
Right.
Second time I went up, it was a couple of people that needed help across the street, that side street. It was a wheelchair person, and all I did was just lift up the hose. For them to get underneath it and just kept on assisting them with the hoses as they went down the street. That was the reason why he needed me to go up there that time. That's when I think that's one of the times that they saw me actually helping someone on the news as far as lifting up the hose and picking it up for the wheelchair to get past it. So, the devil tried to make me feel that initial day, and then when I heard it again that morning when I was leaving the house, I heard it and I came back in and I said something to Ma about it. And that's when she was like, the Lord was watching over him. But I think you're saying the devil tried to make me feel like what it is that the Lord had me to do was nothing because I didn't do nothing. I left somebody.
You didn't leave nobody.
I didn't
Most
leave
High
nobody.
needed to know he can trust you. He knows he can trust you now. He knows he can trust you to listen. 3 times. What is Sammy? What happened with Sammy?
Called him, speak, Lord.
3 times. Was it Eli? Which was
Sammy.
Eli was the
It was
priest.
Sammy.
Sammy.
Eli was the-
3
Eli
times
was
he
the
heard the Most High saying something. He went to Slim. You call me? But he was listening. He said, man, the next time you hear it, say, speak Lord, thy servant here. So while you there, having already made power moves on behalf of the Most High, the fact that you listen, see, you can't lose sight of the fact that you listen. And you kept listening. You kept listening. Now, if he just said, hey, Eric, go to room such and such on the 2nd floor, nobody would have been able to say anything to you to keep you from going back in that building. Mm-hmm. But because he had bruh anyway, this is just me. I'm like, had you stayed
Wherever you were.
Had you stayed wherever you was at, may not have happened like that. The fact that you went back to that building, me and Brad had a conversation one time. Sometimes situations aren't gonna improve for a person until we pray, because there are angels standing by, waiting to receive instruction to go help that need to be released through somebody's prayer. Somebody has to pray to get these jokers the green light to go to work. Other than that, they just standing back, hands tied, because ain't nobody asking for their help. But your presence around that building, them times, unleashed angels that just boxed dude in. And like, yeah, we got you, bro. Air clean in here and everything, man. And the Most High was just communicating with him. Like, yeah, you all right. Might be here for a few days, but I got you. Because my man outside, but you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to try to do too much speculating, bro. I'm just like, it's amazing to me, knowing what I know and seeing what I've seen. And it's just, it's a blessing, and it's a boost to know that he still desires to use us. As worthless as we may feel we are from time to time, he has a plan for us. We never know. That's what I love about this setup. We don't make plans to come in here and try to get a point across. The Holy Spirit. Somebody is hearing something. Somebody has been in a situation. They found themselves in a situation. They didn't know why they was there. They didn't know who they was listening to. Might have helped somebody in the situation. May not have ended up nothing happening. But they're trying to figure out what be going on up here. Why? They got a show come out called Manifest. I watched the first episode of it the other day. It's a series. Season 1, episode 1. People on this plane. Plane disappeared for 4 years and some change. They pop back up. Of course, people's lives have changed. Families, loved ones have moved on. Some people have died. It's a real dramatic. It's going to play with your emotions. It's going to play with your emotions and have your feelings all over the place. Young lady on the bus. In the description, say people trying to deal with these mysterious voices that they put their life back together. You already know how we process stuff now.
Yeah.
We don't look at stuff the same way anymore. I'm telling Jeanette the whole time, like, Joe, this is gonna be some type of, they about to come for the Holy Spirit, bro. Watch. In all these shows, they about to come for the Holy Spirit. Girl on the bus, she had stop. She like, stop. She was like, bus driver, you think you could? No, slow down. That's what she was hearing in her head. Slow down. She was like, bus driver, you think you could slow down a little bit? He was like, man, you know, I got somewhere I got to do this and the other thing. You want to do this job, blah, 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 blah. Voice got like, slow down. Slow down. She was like, slow down, no, stop. Or something like that. He slammed on brakes. Little boy come running down the street. Right as the bus get right there. Don't hit the little boy. Would have crushed him had he not slowed down. She jogging. She hit. No, it's these two German shepherds barking real aggressively at this gate. She jogging. She hit. Set him free. Or let him go. These two vicious-looking dogs. Let him go. Set him free. She looked like, and she keep on running. She in the house. She sleep. She hit. Set him free. She wake up out the bed. The voice got louder. She go back to the spot. Her brother pulling up. He was on the plane with her. Her brother pulling up. She got he get out of his car. She looking. She's like, what you doing here? He was like, set him free. He's like, he heard the same thing. So he gets some bolt cutters. They open up the gate, let the dogs go. The dude she was dealing with before she got on the plane was a police officer. Somehow I missed this part. They found the dogs. They brought the dogs back to the owner. The owner like, oh man, there you guys go. He got this junkyard type setup. So the girl there, the dogs is back. What's she hear? Set him free. Set him free. Again. So she go in the joint. The voice keep getting a little more. Set him free. The dogs is there. She go around the corner. Two German shepherds that was viciously barking at the gate are sitting by this shed. Just as peaceful. The voice was like, set them free. So she grabbed this thing and started beating on the lock that's out there. The dude come around the corner. Hey, man, what you doing? What you doing? The police officer right there, too. She just, break the lock. Open up the doors. Two little Vietnamese girls in there. So they had nothing to do with the dogs. It had to do with setting the little girls free, right? This is just the first episode. There's all type of people on this plane. No. At the end of the joint, all the people that was on the plane kind of just found themselves gathering back at the plane, but from an outskirts, like up behind a gate, then the plane blow up. And they're like, man, whatever happened on this plane to bring this situation about, you're never going to know where it came from. They're telling people, look, man, there's stuff going on in your head. Some voices you could listen to that might bring about something. There's more to it. There's more to it. I'm just talking about the fact that, we found that even the TV, even Hollywood is starting to acknowledge the fact that we're communicated with inside our minds. People think it's them. Man, it's me. Just said it at Bladensburg last night. We hear that, I want to do this. I want to do that. I should do this. I should do that. The devil put in Eve's mind, man, this food look good, man. What's wrong with this? Then he said to her, isn't the fruit pleasant to the eye? She thought he was confirming her thought. Blew her mind. How you know what I'm thinking? Because he put the thought there. That's how you know what you're thinking. Most High said, I know the thoughts I think to you. So it's a thought battle. The thoughts is coming from here or they coming from there. It's up to you to make a decision to dwell on one of the two. We ain't wrong until we dwell on one of the two. You can have all, man, you should kill the whole world. Well, I'm a bad person because I thought about, did you act on it? And it ain't got nothing to do with you. And even if you did act on it, if you confess your sins, he's faithful and just to forgive your sins and cleanse you of all unrighteousness. The devil wants you to think you ain't got no win, like it's too late, you've gone too far. It's impossible.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. Make the decision that you've gone too far, you're done. Other than that, you better know, you better know the blood of the Lamb endures forever, covers the sin of the entire race. The entire race. Everything from Adam and Eve to anything that's spewed from a woman. When it comes out of a man, it's covered. And it starts up here. You got to understand how this thing works. That's what he got me at now, man. Understand what the words that come out your mouth and the words you read, all that affects your psyche. And people know it. Scientists have been commissioned to study us, figure out what they can do to manipulate us. That's what they're doing. It's all about manipulation. The devil's about manipulation. He wants to steal, kill, and destroy. The Most High wants to set us free. So, if you want to be free, rock with the Most High.
Well,
Listen. Listen to me. That's all about Peasy. As if not, it ain't Peasy. But listen to me, man. As somebody said, he said, why won't you hear me now? Please just listen to me. Your soul's on the line. Understand I'm trying to save you. You're constantly pushing me distant, man. Just listen to me. You treat me like your enemy, man. I'm trying to save you. Why won't you hear me now? Please just listen to me. Holy Spirit, and he ain't going to yell at you. He may get aggressive sometimes when you get a little bit beside yourself. For the most part, he's just like, man, So I'm right here. What you say he said? It's time to go to work.
Time to go to work.
Hey, you better. It's time to go to work.
The devil tried to slide in there too, though.
But he gonna slide in with some BS.
Yeah, he did.
He don't even sound the same.
Yeah, he
you
don't.
pay
He
attention to
sound
it.
the
He don't even sound the same,
He
Joe.
don't. He
He's
don't.
agitated.
Man, what you gonna do?
Yeah.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do some work? You gonna go save somebody? That'll make you think. That'll make you second think.
Man.
'Cause he gonna hit you with a team of BS. That dude had 5,000 demons in him. Said his name was Legion. You got one Holy Spirit that's gonna give you a spill. You gonna listen to me? And then boom, you bombarded with a whole array of nonsense. You gotta know that voice.
The devil said, man, as I was coming off the third floor, right, as I was coming out of the door, I could hear him say, man, they got this. Because as I was coming out of the third door, the Marines was coming up to step deep. You know, Marines was coming up to step deep, and it was like, they got this, you know. But nah, it was something totally different, you know, because I knew what the voice of the Lord said. You know, it was like the Marines. They came through the door, and it was a nice amount of them coming up. They went in through the third floor or the second floor, and I went straight up. I didn't listen to it. It wasn't even thought in my mind. It was just like, man, keep on going. You know, just keep on going.
The woman,
Bruh.
the woman that said she couldn't take it. The woman that was about to throw the towel in. All this was for her. You needed to get her mother down. You need to be out there praying. You had to walk past that first ambulance so you could get back in the one where she was at so her daughter could come
It's so deep.
and you could pray for her.
Come on, Mo. Come on.
That's the whole move.
She would have, with her son,
She's
I
about
saw
to
it.
crash, though.
She was
I
about
saw
to
it.
crash.
She was about to
I
crash.
saw it. I
Yeah,
saw
she
it
was
in
about to
the
crash.
eye.
She definitely was pleading out too. She was pleading out.
She
My
was
son got
gone.
shot,
Yeah.
and now this, I can't take it no more.
If you got in the
job.
first ambulance and you just was in there getting oxygen, y'all probably would have been in there
go
rapping.
to that one,
They
the
said
one
go to
down
that
the
one.
block.
That
Where
one
she
down
was
the
at.
block, Where she was at.
She was already. She was
Her
getting low.
daughter come banging on the joint.
Yeah.
Let me in, I need prayer. That's what she was screaming. That's what her soul was screaming. Let me in, I need prayer. Her flesh and her experience was, I'm about to collapse. I can't take it no more. What the Holy Spirit say, Brad? That's why you were outside. That's why I got you here.
Yeah. It's crazy how we. Yeah, when I called you the first time, I was thinking selfishly. I was like, I gotta get E out of the building, or else ain't nobody gonna understand this story. How E got up in there, got burnt up. So my thought was, this is the thought. My thought was like, you gotta get out of the building. I was gonna tell you that on the phone. My thought was to tell you that. Most I was like, he doesn't need to get out of the building. Don't worry about him. I got him. Just pray. And he said it just like that.
What did he have you open up to? Just give him something before we wrap it up.
I just read. I read chapter 2 of Ephesians, man. This is where I had the bookmark. Let's do it. Chapter 2 of Ephesians, starting at verse 1, it says, "And you he made alive who were dead in trespasses and sins, in which you once walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of power of the air, the spirit who now works in the sons of disobedience, among whom also we all once conducted ourselves in the lusts of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature children of wrath, just as the others. But God, who is rich in mercy, because of his great love with which he loved us, even when we were dead in trespasses, made us alive together with Christ. By grace you have been saved, and raised us up together and made us sit together in heavenly places in Yeshua the Christ, that in the ages to come he might show the exceeding riches of his grace in his kindness towards us in Yeshua the Christ. For by grace you have been saved through faith, and not of yourselves. It is the gift of God." I want to read that one again. "For by grace you have been saved through faith, because you listen and believe, and not of yourself. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest anyone should boast." I love that one. Not of works, lest anyone should boast. By grace you followed directions and got those people out. "For we are his workmanship, created in Yeshua the Christ for good works, which Yah prepared beforehand that we should..."
Man, I'm about to slap you out, man.
Hold on, dog. He said, "For we are his workmanship,
Man, we put the work in for him.
created in Yeshua the Christ for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them." It was prepared beforehand.
That's what he said.
But you said, hold on. You said that you started off with the experience of your grandmother and your grandfather knowing how to do that. You were prepared beforehand. You had Marines and paramedics who were not prepared beforehand. But you were commanded because beforehand it was commanded that you go to 424. Because they was going to try to put this woman on a ladder and get her down, and it would not have worked out. I'm going to just finish from this point right here. Therefore, remember that you, once Gentiles in the flesh, who were called uncircumcision by what is called the circumcision, made in the flesh by hands, that at that time you were without Christ, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel and strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope without God in the world. But now, in Yeshua the Christ, you who once were far off have been brought near by the blood of Christ. For he himself is our peace, who has made both one and has broken down the middle wall of separation, having abolished in his flesh the enmity, that is, the law of commandments contained in ordinances, so as to create himself one new man from the two, thus making peace, and that he might reconcile them both to God in one body through the cross, thereby putting death to the enmity. That's him killing the sin in the flesh, basically. And he came and preached peace to you who were afar off, to those who were near. For through him we both have access by one Spirit to the Father. I'm going to finish the chapter. Now, therefore, you are no longer strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and members of the household of God, having been built on the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Yeshua the Christ himself being the chief cornerstone, in whom the whole building being fitted together grows into a holy temple in Yahweh, in whom you also are being built together for a dwelling place of God in the Spirit.
And he never let you go. It's all been preparation. It's all been preparation. All of it. He knows exactly what he's doing.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
So it's disrespectful for us to get in the way.
There were so many lessons learned. There was so many. One thing I heard last night, I went to a program. It was called the Poets and Autumn program. And these Christian poetry and spoken word artists, they prepare these pieces. And one thing this brother said, it was actually not in the middle of a piece. It was during the part where he was just testifying. He was like, the one thing Yahweh does in his cycle of getting glory, he's like, he works his purpose through us to affect other people so they can give him glory. Then he repeats that process through those people. Through them, he works so that more people can be blessed and give him glory. Then those people are now conduits so he can work through them to affect other people to give him glory. And it's just the cycle of that. You were used, given direction to save other people's lives. I was used to pray over a woman who was about to crash. It ain't about us. It's about listening to what he says so that they can give him glory. Because now, both that woman and her sister came out the building alive. I believe and have faith that that woman whose mother and son were in perilous positions is now going to believe that she can make it. And that whole situation is now turned around. But we don't need to know that. He knows that. And the only thing we got to look forward to is getting another star on our crown. Really, that's the only thing we're doing. We're doing what he has us to do so that we can bring people to him so he can get the glory. That's all this thing is about. That's all this thing is about, man. And what that joint said right there, man, the preparation, he had stuff prepared beforehand. That's the amazing thing. He said, I knew you when I made you in the womb. Knew everything you was going to deal with, everything you was going to go through. So if you listen to this and you going through something really strenuous right now, just like the brother who was in the building for 5 days, I'm sure he heard all that noise. He was probably, it's like, how in the world am I going to get out? But he had the wherewithal to end his interview say, it was just me and my God. You in a dilapidated building that's had construction on it for 5 days straight. Stuff still could have been collapsing. Water damage, fire damage, asbestos. You don't know what's going on in that joint. But he's in the middle of it just chilling. Until the people came to get him.
final thought for the people?
Well, best thing I can say is best believe that the devil is out to get you. And no matter the trials and tribulations that you go through, trust in God, believe in prayer, and listen. Because when he speaks clearly.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have any problem at all knowing the voice that I needed and should have been listening to. Sometimes we're gonna sway. We're gonna definitely sway. But listen, and when you make that move, you'll know who you was listening to. You'll know. I knew that there was no doubt in my mind who, once it was over with, as I was going through it, I was being led. I mean, I've never been in a fire, but I know the Lord was like, prop the doors open. Not for me, but there was still people that needed to come out the building.
Right.
Because all I was doing was leading the pack to get to the 4th floor. That's where I was supposed to be going. And I had to think about it at first, but I'm quite sure the firefighters had things to prop doors open and stuff. I don't know. I'm just saying I'm quite sure. But I had to prop the doors open. Now listen, my thought to you to end the show is just listen. Pray, ask God to lead you, ask him for the strength, and he will definitely give you what you need, and regardless of what situation that you're in. And to top it all off, after everything that took place, he still helped me put the brakes on Brad Carr.
There you go. That's right.
Yeah, he used you.
Same day.
Same night.
Same night.
Same night.
Same night.
He used you to open doors so that people could escape the fire. Think about that. He used you to open doors so people could escape the fire.
This is workmanship, man. Put you to work.
He said it all. I ain't got nothing else to say. Either one of y'all can wrap us up.
I'll go ahead and take us out. Take us out. Like you said, man, listen. Listen, pray, believe, listen. Bow your head. The water Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shah. Most High, thank you, first of all, for allowing us to breathe. Thank you for what we go through. You know, we don't thank you enough for our trials and tribulations, but you already told us we're going to have. You also told us you're not going to put more on us than we can bear, and that you'll never leave us nor forsake you, so we can rest assured that in the midst of all of these fiery situations we find ourselves in, you're there. So thank you for the ups, the downs, the good, the bad. Thank you for the trials and tribulations. Thank you for our shortcomings. Thank you for our vices. Thank you for whatever we need to keep us humble and looking to you. Be with Miss Watkins, the elderly lady, if that was her last name as well, Miss Watkins, and her daughter, and her son that's in the hospital. Be with E and his family. His work situation, his employee whose mother has the kidney situation. Be with Brad and his boy who's going through the divorce stuff. Be with Jamal and Pammy and Marquita and the Alliance of Concerned Men and they moves they making over there in Southeast and everywhere else in the city. You spared us through the 90s and 2000s when we had no desire to have anything to do with you. And you kept us present in this thing for a reason. And I thank you for equipping us with, thank you for our parents who equipped us with the ability or the understanding, the foresight to look to you. And they listen when we hear you talking to us. It's not us. We don't want any credit for anything. But I thank you for the blessing that you're going to allow my brother to receive in behalf of him listening, whether it be by way of house or financial or vehicle, whatever the blessing is. You said you're going to open up the windows of heaven and pour out blessings. Mm-hmm. So we can't even receive what you got for us. Just open our mind to be able to at least acknowledge where it's coming from and properly do the right thing with it when we get it. You know the ins and outs of all of our personal situations. That's that you be with our mental states. You know, the powers that be are out to get us. They're trying to creep into our minds and have us thinking what they would have us to think. But thank you for telling us in Jeremiah 29:11 that you know the thoughts that you think to us. Thoughts of good, not of evil, to bring us an expected end. So as we move forward, my personal situation, our family members and friends, the elderly that's out there, our nation as a whole, which is on the verge of utter destruction if we keep moving in the direction we're moving in this world in general. Be with all those who are seeking truth, those who can't fend for themselves, fend for them, fight for those who can't fight for themselves. Deliver us from the fiery darts of the enemy that constantly assail us day and night. He don't rest, and thank you that you don't rest either. Thank you for fighting for us. Save us in your kingdom. Forgive us for all of our iniquities. Give us the insight and the ability to actually confess our sins. Bring stuff back to our remembrance that we filed away in our little file cabinets and tucked away in the back room that we don't want to deal with no more. We figure, I was when I was a kid, so that don't matter no more. Bring all that stuff back to our remembrance. If it hurt for a little bit, then comfort us in the middle of that pain, but let us talk to you about it so we can get that thing out the way, because we know none of those situations are going to inherit the kingdom. Thank you for sending your son, your only begotten son, to die on the cross for our sins. In the name of Yahweh Shai, I pray this prayer. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Yeah, this has been Real Talk 101 here in Vox Wave Studio. Thank you for joining us. And as always, may y'all keep you through the rest of this week. We'll see you on the next one.
Indeed.
Seek truth.